No one said the world of online reviews had to be fair, which is why there's Podium, the most convenient way to take control of your online reputation and score up to 15 times as many reviews. See why leading retailers trust Podium to power over 5 million customer interactions every month at podium.com/total retail.
Welcome to Total Retail Talks, your podcast channel for retail knowledge.
Hi, and welcome to episode 231 of Total Retail Talks. I'm Joe Keenan, Executive Editor of Total Retail. Joining me today is Melanie Huet, Chief Marketing Officer at Serta Simmons Bedding, the largest manufacturer and distributor of mattresses in North America. We're going to be discussing Serta Simmons Bedding's effort to grow its direct-to-consumer business. Thanks for joining me, Melanie.
Thank you. Thanks for having me today.
So, you're rather new to Serta Simmons Bedding. So my first question is, can you talk a little bit about what attracted you to the company that made you want to join?
Yes, it was one of those once-in-a-lifetime opportunities. Very rarely do you get to walk into a disrupted industry that has a combination of being a large legacy player that also merged with a D2C startup. So it's been a tremendously interesting blend. The most exciting thing I've done in my career so far, and really the opportunity to build brands and lead a transformation, was the ultimate hook.
So we're going to get into that startup brand that you alluded to in Tuft and Needle. But first, I want to have you tell the audience briefly about your professional background, particularly in the D2C space.
Sure. Really, I'm a consumer products marketer, about 20 years at some of the large companies like Unilever, Kimberly-Clark, Kraft Heinz, and I've made a name for myself driving turnarounds of legacy businesses that were struggling. So most notably would be Pull-Ups Training Pants for any of you out there in the midst of potty training, and also the Kool-Aid brand. And specifically when it comes to D2C, some of the experience I have there is I worked globally in marketing and had the opportunity to see these B2B businesses where we sell to retail start to shift to D2C. In diapers in South Korea, 80% of those products are sold directly to consumers. And so seeing what was transpiring in the world put me in a great position to then come back to the US and try to accelerate that in a North America-based business.
So now that we know a little bit about your background, let's talk about Serta Simmons Bedding. So the company's kind of in the midst of this internal transformation, the partnership with Tuft and Needle, a lot of different things going on. So tell us a little bit about where the company was prior to you joining, and where you kind of see it going, and you kind of helping to take shape moving forward here.
When I think about the company overall, we were selling products instead of brands. And then if I think about my role as the Chief Marketing Officer leading marketing and innovation, we really were doing this traditional marketing effort of TV and print. So that's where we were. And where we are headed is being a consumer-centric led organization, really led by the consumer is the heart of everything we do. So we're insights driven. We've changed around our approach to innovation. We're launching online. We're delivering breakthrough creative. We just did a nice collaboration on sneakers with DJ Clark Kent and the Serta brand. And the future for us looks like building brands and moving quickly and agilely and continuing to lead in the space of mattresses.
And we're going to get back to the marketing angle there in a second. But in terms of and I kind of alluded to this in the intro around the kind of the transformation that Serta Simmons Bedding is undergoing and kind of the dedicated focus it has on growing the D2C business. Kind of a two-part question here with that one. Why is that a primary initiative for the company? And then a second, can you talk a little bit about how last year's merger with Tuft and Needle helped in that regard?
Sure. It's our number one initiative across the entire organization. And the reason for it is going back to the consumer. So if you think about how people are shopping today, it's all about going online to look for information, look for pricing. And so what that means for all of us in marketing or trying to sell products out there is that your .coms are one of your most important marketing tools and assets to be leveraged. And really, the acquisition of that consumer online is how we can then transition them to either purchase in retail or purchase online For us, we're still a retail business. So really what we want to do is acquire and shift that sale into retail, because 75% of our sales still sit in those channels. And when we think about what was so critical and strategic about the Tuft and Needle merger, I mean, so many things. We immediately acquired a new skill set into the organization that did move quickly, that understands everything about the omni-channel shopping environment, and it gave us the tools to take our legacy brands and refresh them.
And then from a marketing perspective, obviously as you transition into trying to grow the D2C business, I would imagine there's some challenges that present themselves. You know, you've had this brand images of manufacturer and a wholesaler, into now trying to not only, remain, true to those roots, but also, position Serta Simmons Bedding as a direct seller. Can you talk a little bit about some of the challenges that present themselves as a marketer for that? And then, conversely, I would imagine there's some opportunities there as well. Maybe you want to touch on that as a second part to your answer.
Sure. So one of the challenges is just engaging younger consumers in our brands. So they're seeing some of our competition more often than they were seeing us. So that's been a bullseye for Serta Simmons Bedding, is to acquire millennials. And we have a really big project against Gen Z to bring them into the brand. And so credibility is an issue, which the Tuft and Needle merger actually really did a lot in terms of giving us not only the acumen and the tools, but the credibility in that space. And then the other thing it was just a tremendous mindset shift for the organization, to shift from being a manufacturer to thinking about ourselves as omni-channel and even a direct seller, which has been fun. We found that it's really inspiring the workforce, and everybody wants to get engaged and help along the way. I think the third piece of it, if I come back to the consumers, is really this helps us segment our consumer base and brings to life our strategic blueprint, which is our house of brands. So really we have something to offer to everybody, which is what makes us unique in the marketplace, because a lot of our competition can only address a small segment of the market.
Yeah, I want to touch on that competition for a second. The online, the mattress category, 10 years ago, online didn't exist really. Now it's kind of exploded with a bunch of players entering this space. Do you see that as specifically from a marketing perspective, do you see that as a good thing? It's kind of created that consumer awareness. Consumers are looking online now for mattresses, where 10 years ago they were only thought about walking into a retail store to consider a mattress purchase. How does that kind of factor into the decisions that you're making?
Well, it was a great thing. It sure was a hello wake up call when you think about it. And the reason it was so disruptive and so successful is very simple in its insight, which is consumers find mattress shopping extremely painful. So when you remove a consumer pain point, you can find a lot of growth. So we're all happy that it happened. And the other thing it's done is put us back in a position of really thinking about what are those consumer pain points, how do we address them, and how do we grow our business? And that type of insights-led thinking is what we're doing now at Serta Simmons, and what's different from how we were operating even just 2 years ago.
Yeah, that's a perfect segue into my next question. So Serta Simmons Bedding is invested in a consumer insights team. You've talked, you've mentioned a couple times the focus on providing, being a customer-centric organization and what the value the consumer gets out of their interactions with Serta Simmons Bedding. So can you tell us a little bit about that consumer insights team, why that team was formed, and sort of what are you looking to get out of that group?
Yes, we've completely changed our process. So the first thing we do now is take a look at what are the consumer needs, and then we build products and solutions that address those needs. So standing up the Insights organization was absolutely critical. We hired a very accomplished Insights leader, Maria Sainz Ortiz, who's previously worked at large companies like Coca-Cola and Kellogg's. Bringing that type of intelligence and capability in-house has given us the opportunity to put products out in the marketplace that we know ahead of time. We have a lot of confidence that they're going to win. So an example of that is we just launched the Serta iComfort product line. We spent millions of dollars in research. We knew we had top purchase intent, top appeal. A lot of effort went into that line, and out of the gate, we're seeing extremely strong performance and growth as a result.
So one of the, the primary advantages of brands that are, beginning to sell direct to consumer is that they're able to collect this, extremely valuable first-party customer data. Serta Simmons Bedding, imagine, is no different than other brands in that regard. Can you tell us, maybe, is there an example, or maybe just tell us a little bit about how the brand is using that customer data, that first-party customer data, to improve marketing?
Yes, now we know who the consumers are. We can track them. We can retarget them. One of the other things we learned in our insights work is that the time between purchases is shrinking. So historically, it was an average of 10 years, and we continue to shrink. In fact, some of the average is higher than this, but we'll see instances where the repurchase cycle can be as short as like 2 years. And so what this does is it gives us the opportunity to go back and acquire the consumer a second time in a short time frame. So we really can have a lifetime value strategy, as well as we can just make sure that they were happy. So there's the whole part about you purchased a product. Mattresses happen to be something that we don't really know if you're satisfied until 2 to 3 months post-purchase, when you've been sleeping on the product for a while. We can go out and make sure that our consumers are happy and satisfied, and if they're not, we can fix it for them.
Are you able to collaborate with your wholesale partners? You've gotten this, valuable insights and this valuable data. What's the kind of process like there? Are you able to share some of that with your partners, or just kind of ways to market the fact that, you're able to still purchase products in these retail partners?
Oh, we've been running around town sharing information like crazy because we know that if we help them with information and things that can grow their category, that as a result, our brands grow. So as we learn things, we share them right away. And we have found that all of our retailers have been tremendous partners and are so eager to receive insights and leverage them that it's been a very nice add-on to our already strong relationships in the market.
Are those are you looking at social there? Is that email? Is that paid search, organic search? I guess some of all, maybe some combination of all those different channels?
It's all of it. When we think about the media funnel from, top of the funnel awareness driving activities all the way down into the bottom in conversion, we're doing a lot to marry up our media plans with the retailers' media plans, where we drive awareness and start to move them through that funnel and then hand them off for conversion to retail partners. And what this data helps us do is have a more seamless handoff. It also helps us optimize the media plans, where the Serta Simmons media plan plus the retailer plan, 1 + 1 = 3. So there's a lot that we can do there around media buying, because when all of us are in there together, it's a pretty sizable buy, actually, when you look at the industry. And then there are the obvious things around search and emails as well. But really, I'd ladder it back up a little bit higher in terms of overall acquisition into the category.
Yeah. And then my final question, Melanie, and this is probably not an uncommon question for brands that have made kind of the decision to begin selling direct to consumer, is, arriving at that balance between marketing what you're doing in terms of direct selling versus still promoting the brand's retail partners and the ability for consumers to shop through that channel as well. When you're kind of coming to a decision around marketing, whether it be a specific campaign or just overall, how do you think about that in terms of balancing the two different aspects there?
Well, we really think about it as omni-channel, and that all of the pieces that we're working on are helping to build brands and drive sales. And when I think about this question specifically, for us having like a beautyrest.com, so we just launched recently and are driving transactions there. It's not a threat to any of the retailers. Actually, it's a huge value-added tool, because consumers are going on and looking for information. And we're finding that actually we lift their ability to sell on their websites. So, I just heard this morning that some of the work we've been doing has helped boost the mattressfirm.com sales. So the partnership remains really strong between the two of us. So we see it as a value-added tool for everyone.
Great. Well, I want to take this opportunity to thank Melanie Huet of Serta Simmons Bedding for joining me today. Please check out our podcast channel page, mytotalretail.com/podcast, for show notes. Total Retail Talks is available on Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Spotify, and Stitcher. But make sure to subscribe on our podcast channel page as well. Also, please take the time to rate and review this podcast. Thanks, and I look forward to you joining us on the next episode of Total Retail Talks.
Reviews matter. The way you show up online determines who shows up in your store. Visit podium.com/totalretail to get started today.